We're not going to shy away from it because it's pretty much how we all got here, different ways with different people and all that stuff. But welcome to episode 125 of Candid Conversations. Let's talk about sex.
Woo!
You.
Baby,
Let's talk about you and me.
Let's
Let's
talk
talk
about all the good things and the bad things that may be. That's all we can say without copyright.
Yeah, true.
That's all we can say. That's all we can say.
It's a cover. It's a cover.
It's a cover. I don't care. They're going to take it down. They'll still try to take it down.
get banned in certain countries.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, they're so sensitive nowadays with all these copyright shits. And oh, you can't say this because that person said something similar to it.
Yeah. That's kind of, it's killing culture. What can you say?
I don't know, but like, I mean, it's not Valentine's Day as yet, but it's quickly approaching. So to give some of you a step up on, you know, what people usually pursue for that day, I don't get why like sex and massacre have anything to do with each other. But
I don't know, man.
like Valentine's Day was a massacre.
Depends what you're into.
Massacre, not masochism. What is that even the word? I think I
Masochism.
Masochism. I'm not sure.
Masochism.
That's the word. Yeah, that is the word. Okay.
Masochism would have
There's
something
no
to do
T
with
in
your
there.
mouth, I think.
There's no T.
No, masochism.
Masochism. Okay. Masochism. Okay.
Masochism would be something you do with your mouth, I think.
Yeah.
Mastication is chewing, isn't it?
Nah.
That's when there's dental work
I think
involved.
so. Yeah.
Comes out in leather with a pair of teeth.
That Valentine's Day is gonna suck.
Completely.
I know gleeking is like the actual process of producing saliva.
It's
Yes.
that when you spit without like involuntarily, when like it comes out of the back of your. This is gross. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, I knew people that used to be able to do that, and that, like, let's face it, when you're in grade school, that was a very cool person.
Boys are
Just
gross.
Open their mouth and do like the spitting cobra thing.
I told my daughter books before boys because boys make babies, and I know because I brought you. Oh man. So like, here's the question: when did it go from boys are gross to and now we pronounce you husband and wife? Like, when does that transition occur? Because like, for me. Don't kill me. I wasn't ready for that one. Oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, we have joining us today MC McRedundancy and Ottoman James Brown. I am the Block, and we are talking about sex. We're eventually going to get to it. We're I guess we're padding the airwaves right now, trying to get a few more people involved in what's going on. I'm about to share the link, and this will be replayed on Liquid Fire Radio. Nice. Shout out to Christy Hales. So yeah. No, we don't want to share this one with the kids. Not yet. All right. Boom. All right. So for me, I don't know. Like, the whole topic in itself seems to be something we should be able to discuss as adults. But
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's nothing weird about it at this. I mean, yeah, it's so out in the open now that it's like, really, there's
no shame in it anymore. Like, at least for the most part, you shouldn't have any shame when it comes to sex and sex talk.
I was gonna say that, yeah, it's really not necessary in today's age, like, or really any age, but people.
Yeah.
I mean, as women, we talk all the time to our friends. Like, we know everybody's dirty, everything. Like, and so if you guys have shame amongst your group, then
yeah,
as men,
I don't think it's shame. I think for me, like, there were certain things that I took as sacred. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really. It was like, okay, we know about this, and only we know about this, so we can have an effect on how this is, kind of thing. Not to say other people didn't know, but like, you know, the specifics were
okay.
Yeah, the specifics were kind of withheld in order to maintain that security kind of thing.
Oh, okay. I grew up with Sunday Night with Sue. just to age myself a little
I
bit.
am so glad you brought that up. Let's go. Let's go.
And there hasn't been shame in the sex department my entire existence. I think the first time I watched that old lady on TV, I was in grade 8. And like from that point on, it was never an issue. We always had for a girl who went to Catholic school, it was a very open topic. So like it was nothing, there was no shame ever attached to it. I think I've always had a very healthy sex life and open and honest sex life, because that's what Grandma Sue always told us.
Yeah.
And like get yourself checked, be honest with your partners, say what you want, and always listen to what they want, and set boundaries. And if you follow that, you will always have a good, healthy sex life.
Yeah. I think I was 8 when I first came across her. Wasn't ready for that shit. No. I'm seeing like this elderly woman banging these fucking dolls together and shit. Like, you don't want to be doing this. No. And I'm just like,
you want to do it this way.
You know what I mean? I'm there and I'm like, I shouldn't be watching this, but I'm intrigued. You know what I mean? So like, because back in that day, children were a little bit more sensible. Now, like, you have 28-year-olds that don't have as much sense as an 8-year-old did in the 90s.
I think there was a lot more communication when we didn't have, like, they have their online worlds and their online presence. And then especially with the times we're living in, everyone's so isolated that they're not having the conversations, except for like our kids, we're overly talking to them, where they're just like, okay, yeah, Lou, shut up. Like,
yeah. I remember, like, I think I was what? I want to say like 18, 19. And my mom came into my room and like, I thought she brought me breakfast. She got this brown paper bag. I'm sitting here like, okay, she got me a roti or some pate and cocoa bread. All right, nice. Throws it into my room. Bam, hits me right in the chest. I'm like, okay. Open the bag. All I saw were condoms and lube. I'm like,
that was your sex talk?
That was like, we actually do have open conversation about it, or did have open conversation about it, but that was when I realized she knew I was doing something.
I never had that conversation. My parents were not that sort of people.
No,
I had to watch porn like normal people. No.
My parents didn't want to talk about it, and then I had a baby at 15. So the lesson is, talk your ass off to your daughters. Tell them everything. Tell them boys are the worst. Be honest. And talk about it.
I can agree with that.
I'm about to turn this up so my daughter can hear this. Hold on a second.
Yeah, no, you got to be honest. You got to really talk to them about everything, and like the difference between love and sex and how they are not connected.
You know what?
True.
They can't be. They're the glue to a relationship. Sex.
No. Talk about it. Because that is a misconception that I've had for quite some time. That, like, not to say that love equals sex, but when you're in a relationship, that could be the thing that makes it function or malfunction.
It's completely important. Like, it's the glue that keeps you together. It is the one thing that you share with your person, right? So, like, you have to, I always say relationships are like a plant, and you got to feed it. And part of the food is sex. Water, sunshine, and sex. And then you'll have a happy, healthy plant, aka relationship.
I'm sitting here and I'm just like, wow. Like, I can't argue with that.
I have my partner sitting because not even recently, I'd say within the past few years, came to understand that I'm asexual. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird, like, in the sense of
okay, maybe replace sex with intimacy.
No, and that's what it kind of is, and to a degree, sex too, and that's a responsibility. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that a lot of people have, that sort of thing, and so it becomes important in that sort of thing. I know with myself, it's like I acted out a lot in my early 20s, not understanding the fact that I really wasn't into it in the first place. Like, you're supposed to be. You know what I mean? So it's like you do all of these things, and it's like it just gets weird. But yeah, like I definitely it becomes tricky that way. I've noticed.
Mm.
I think that, I don't know, in my 20s, I had a great time, and like I didn't really commit to anything long term, and I had a blast with my own sexuality. And then in a committed relationship, it was something completely different, where like, not that it's not.
You're
in
not
a
having a
committed- I'm
blast
having
with
a
your
blast.
sexuality anymore?
Wow! Shots fired! Shots fired! No, I'm joking.
Different now, though. Like
Yeah.
it means something to me that it didn't mean to me in my 20s. Like sex was just a fun sport. Like
Yeah,
but I went pro when we got married.
Way to recover. Way to recover.
Digging up.
You see, for me, like my mom always tells me that I used to read her books, like her she had like novels and stuff. So I wasn't like as much into the wham bam slam and done as much as I was into the whole wooing of the courting aspect of the romance and the let me shower you with
riding in on
you
your
know what I mean,
horse
riding
with
in on
the
my
flowing
stallion
hair.
with the afro. You know?
Yeah.
So when I see the degradation of women in music, like specifically hip hop, it's like, what the fuck? How are we?
Still
Like,
happening in hip hop. Like
Oh, I probably.
of course it is.
now women are actually. I don't know if women are degrading themselves. Women are a lot more crass, I find.
They
don't think
always
that's
kind
fair.
of were, though. You just didn't hear about it as
No,
much.
I like listen.
I know what you're talking about, and I don't think that's fair. I think that a lot of people think that it's like us being like as women being crass or whatever. We're just saying what you guys said for the last
Fuck
50
yeah.
Well,
and then
yeah.
all of a sudden we're the ones who are being rude. And like
let me retract that statement then. Okay, because I didn't get to finish.
okay, sorry.
Women are seen as being crass, but like she said, they're just saying what men have said. And
It's straight.
I personally would prefer a woman to tell me this is how I want it and this is what you're gonna get as a result, than someone say, well, you could just figure it out. No, bitch, I got my own shit to figure out. You know what I mean?
How about if you figure it out and then you tell me? You know what I mean?
Like,
Yes,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's what it is. And like I like this one artist, and I'm gonna big her up because I told her she's like my favorite female MC now. Shibo Lottie. She has these 3 songs. She has 4 songs that I know of right now, but she's got more in her catalog. But like she has this one song called Attitude, right? And I could play it, like I'll play it later. But she's got this one song called Ho Shit, and then she's got this one song called HSK. They're all very detailed songs, we'll say. The descriptive songs. They're all very descriptive songs. Spicy, yes. Spicy. And I like the fact that she's just like what, I don't even know the lyrics. One, like they all talk about like her sex, like just sex in a way that women should be able to express themselves without feeling as if they're going to be judged, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like she's acknowledging her prowess and speaking on it.
And I think that's like what was I listening to the other day was 2 Live Crew.
Oh man.
And I mean it's like, because honestly it's like I listen to it, it's funny, you know, for anything that came out maybe 4 years later or whatever. It's very quaint, it's juvenile and it's stupid and stuff like that, but it's like that's a way to express things too, you know. And it's like either gender should, or whatever gender should, more or less be allowed to kind of say that, make jokes about it, you know. It's like it's serious and it's not serious, you know.
The movement through music with women being sexual creatures has like always got like Madonna was banned from places, when she was in her early 20s, and then like now we're at WAP, so
yeah,
the movement through, and like every single time a woman's like, oh, here are my boobs or here's my butt, the big old white dude who's like, oh, you can't do that and you're disgusting and crass.
Yeah.
Like, shame on you. And
It-
there shouldn't be shame on it. And I
No,
do know.
no,
I'm not saying that. I do know. I don't know. I do know. And there shouldn't be shame on it. And we should be able to talk and do whatever we want. When
I
women
mean,
want to walk around naked, they should do it. No one should have a thing to say about it.
You know how freeing it is when, like, oh, my daughter's gonna hate this. When she's up at her grandparents or something, I'm just in the house by myself, just like walking around, just like nature.
yeah.
A pair of socks sliding through the kitchen.
Take those old records off the shelf. I can't hit those notes. I don't know why I try to sing them. My daughter's just like, ew.
No, I think there's still this perception. I mean, as far as like, you know, as far as sexual relationships, men are in a candy store and women are the candy. You know what I mean? Is unfortunately still a thing. So when the candy speaks out that it's having a good time, you know, it's just that's how it seems. You know what I mean? There's still this kind of perception that women are the pursued or supposed to be the pursued, and men are supposed to be the pursuer or peruser or whatever, you know. Yeah, I don't think that's made a lot of sense in the past 20 years, you know.
I
Like
think when society starts realizing it's the prize and you should work for the prize, a lot of people didn't like that. And like, it's not about you get to go into the candy store and pick whatever you want now. It's like, no, you
well, no,
gotta,
it's not that you get to pick whatever you want. You get to look at all the candy. You know, you can pick one of the, yeah, but you know what I mean? There's definitely this, like it's just objectification, you know, and that still kind of exists, which is why WAP is like, oh my God, the candy's speaking up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not
But
just sitting
a
there and
point was-
looking pretty, telling us how cool we are.
There
you
was
know?
a point that was made, and it was that the song is about consensual relations between a married couple.
Really?
So yeah, she's married to Offset.
Yeah, no, but I always thought she kind of wrote that song as kind of a joke, you know, like in a sense of it's like the from stuff that I've heard her talk about it, it seems that she kind of it's funny, you know, it's supposed to be kind of funny. It's not a
lighthearted for
super
sure.
serious.
And then how much of it is shock value? There's an element of shock value to the song as well, where like she might not even do those. I don't even
No,
know.
and I think there's a truth to that. Like,
She just says it for shock. Like when Marilyn Manson was in his heyday, you don't think on Sunday morning he puts track pants on and like eats a bowl of Cheerios?
or Two Live Crew for that matter. You know what I mean? Like their way of kind of saying things is a lot of that's kind of it's good jokes. You know what I mean? Like it's you have to have kind of a sense of humor with it, and yeah, I think you kind of have to have a sense of humor when it comes to sex too. You know?
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
Like it's I think if people who take it kind of too seriously, no, that just seems like a bad idea. You know, it's like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And it's the religion of my life now is kind of, that's a red flag as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. No, I don't think like it should be the be all and end all of any circumstance or situation. But I also don't think they should be like it. Also, but it should be taken into consideration when dealing with relations.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? Like,
if you've made commitments, that's the thing. Like if you've made a commitment to your partner but that's the thing in any healthy relationship, you're talking about all the aspects to the relationship.
Yep.
From are we having Cheerios this in the morning to are you eating my box at night? Like there's a whole, every aspect needs to be covered in any healthy relationship. So
and I think that's the relationship, you know what I mean? Like I do kind of feel like there's this like a huge difference between sex and a relationship. You know,
you can have sex without a relationship, but can you have a relationship without sex?
We're always working on it.
Of course you can have a relationship.
Well, I guess.
You can have a mental stimulation with all sorts of people. It's like if somebody's stepping out on a relationship, the first thing they do isn't usually just hop into bed with somebody else. It's
It usually starts emotional. It's an emotional buildup. Yeah, it's someone filling a void, and then shit evolving from there. It's interesting.
I don't think that you're gonna have like you're not gonna have the passion that you would with somebody that you just met, as opposed to somebody that you've been having some sort of mental stimulation with.
Well, you don't have the fear there. You know what I mean? When you're with somebody, the fear kind of drops out. And I mean, not saying that it's like, or maybe possibly saying it when it's with somebody you don't know. There's like a fear stimulation that kind of goes into it in a weird way. It's you don't know what's kind of coming. Whereas sometimes it's anyways, where it's like, yeah, in like kind of a long-term relationship, it's like without that slight fear thing, sometimes you can, again, speaking as an asexual, it's so weird, but it can kind of become tricky. You know what I mean?
That's when you have sex outside somewhere.
Bro, listen.
And you know what?
Bringing that up, it's very true, because when you're outside, you're subject to the elements, the environment, the atmosphere, old men throwing their dog's ball close to you by a rock so they can walk up close to you and look at you doing whatever the fuck you're doing.
You.
For another.
Just from a suppositional position.
Yeah, for
sure. You know what I mean? It's just like hypothetically speaking, it's like, how do you do that? How do you see someone engaged in sexual activity and decide, hey, let's watch?
Well, they have words for that. Voiders.
I mean, if you're outside, I mean, I'm not gonna say that's half of the game, but people are fucking outside. Am I gonna watch? I might. If I've got nothing better to do at that time, fucking
like,
throw
hey,
me some popcorn.
There's people having sex.
I mean, they're fucking.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of like, well, they're there. I mean, you got to watch something.
Like, are they
sometimes
in my
just watching dogs in the park ain't the most fun thing.
Are they what?
Are they on my path? Like, am I on a hike and they're just like,
no. I'm talking like,
tell me your
people
story.
They're over here, right here. Okay, see where the screen is? Right here. That's where people are. And my dude is
okay,
that way, like that way, so that way far, and he threw it twice in the direction. It's not even like it was one throw. He threw it.
He was just
picked it up again, and then he threw it again in the direction. Like, nah, I'm not close enough.
He didn't say anything.
Nothing. Just like picked up the ball, and he picked up the ball, walked past, looked at us, and then continued walking.
Maybe he had really bad eyesight, and he was just throwing.
Did he even have a dog?
Nah, we locked eyes for a second. It was awkward as fuck. It was awkward. I'm like,
did
he's
you
like,
smile?
No, the dude's looking at me like, you're not gonna stop, are you? I'm like, nope. Like, that was the look on his face. It's like I'm supposed to acknowledge his elderly ass walking through the fucking forest. Nah, fuck that shit. You a hippie ass motherfucker. You were doing worse than me. You were doing worse than me. You ain't telling me. Listen to me, man. This dude looked like he was fresh in his 20s in the 60s and 70s. Like he wasn't doing every drug under the fucking clouds. Nah. Sorry, that might have been a little judgmental, but
I don't know. I wasn't there. He could look like that.
That same thing happened to me and my dog one time, and he up nodded me and kept going.
Oh yeah, we were up north in the cottage, and so there. And I'm gonna use it. This little bitch from like a couple cottages down was coming around, sniffing around where she shouldn't be sniffing. And my dog has like 60 feet of cord because I don't want him to take off into the woods. There's bears. This is your world, right? Well, she came around a lot, and how the kitchen's set up. So we're looking outside, and the dog is just taking it from our dog, like right in front of the picnic table, and like I don't know, and like the dog like looked at him while
Yeah,
he's like,
he's going, he's doing his thing. He looks, sees me, gives me one of these, and then goes back about his. I was like, "Are you kidding me right now? What is happening right now?"
I had to take like after they were done. I wasn't stopping that, but then I was like the proper etiquette at the. I can't even speak.
Etiquette.
Etiquette is now I have to take this bitch home and explain to their dog parents that like this had happened, and if there's puppies, I get one. And no puppies came from that first time experience for our dog, but also I wasn't gonna stop it because like that's not.
That's how you get bit.
That's how you get bit.
That was fucking. Oh my gosh.
So I was working at the zoo.
Yes.
And so the lions. And so I'm working in the garden over by the lion exhibit, right? And I turn around and the fucking male's on top of the female, probably maybe about 10 feet away from me, sort of thing, staring me dead in the eye and just like growling in a really low note while they're fucking. And it's just like, was the creepiest thing I was like, the fuck, man? So I watched for a bit.
You all real close.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, it's like, well, you don't see this too often, and they're just like, I mean, they had the look of food, you know. It's like they were just staring at me, like screwing and thinking about eating me later or something. But yeah, that was that's gonna stay with me.
I bet
that is definitely gonna stay with me.
That's so funny.
But yeah,
Wow.
yeah, public sex, man.
Yeah.
The animals are doing it. People do it.
Yeah, but when animals do it, it's acceptable. When people do it, it's a public indecency charge.
Exactly.
Like, what the fuck? I'm an animal too, bro.
Break the law. Yeah, no, it's. Ooh, do we want people fucking all over the place? Oh, should it matter?
No, we gotta have sectors and sections for that because there's people that I definitely do not want to see fucking.
No, you don't want to, but that's freedom. That's
no,
what freedom means.
You're free to fuck over there. That's what you're free to do.
It's like, you know, like.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
You're just keeping up room. If you need a room to go fucking, if you got $40, you can go find a room to fucking.
Yep, straight up. I'll even rent you one.
If you don't have $40, you shouldn't be having sex. Maybe.
Like, yo,
I don't know.
like,
get $40.
Should people need a license to have sex? Like,
no, definitely not.
No,
they should have a just some.
No,
some
I think we've tried that before, and it was a bad idea.
Did we try that before?
Oh fuck yeah!
Sex?
I'm pretty sure with people with like special needs and stuff like that, different countries, and I would not be surprised if Canada's actually sterilized people.
Oh, I know that Canada sterilized people. There was a whole wave of eugenics, but I didn't know that there was like anything stopping people from having sex. I know stopping them from having babies. It was a huge thing as soon as men made sure that they could figure out how to stop women from having babies. They like put that into play. So
well, and I mean, to a degree, actually, we live so far into it that we don't even notice the fact that it is kind of forbidden. You know, like those stigmas, and I mean, these go back so far back that we don't even think about it as law anymore. This is religion and that. But it's we have that. We straight up have that to differing degrees.
Oh no, 100%. It's the same as like when you talk about the purity of a woman, and that goes all the way back. But the funny thing is that when you look at it and you're talking about like Henry VIII, King Henry VIII, he had all sorts of mistresses, and like his mistresses were like plentiful, and you would line your daughter up to be a king's mistress, and there was no shame in that.
In most cultures, except I think North America, that's kind of the norm. Like you have your wife and you have your mistress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of just, there's an etiquette to it and stuff like that, but that's just like how
Oh yeah.
kind of the majority of the world actually kind of rolls.
Yeah, and then, but that's the same time you were marrying off your 12, 13-year-old child. So,
No,
like,
I'm talking just like France.
yeah,
You know,
they did that shit too for like ox.
well, we did that crap here. I mean, fucking what's
It was done everywhere. Like, I just don't understand what the fuck.
Yeah, no,
like who decided down and said, hey,
well, I think
she's looking ripe. How about a half of your kingdom?
I think it was different when you were only living till like 32. Like most people
Okay.
sick at 32 years old, getting married and pregnant and having a brood by the time you're 18 was like, because without doing that, we were just gonna die off the planet, like sickly,
Well, it's not that people lived, shorter lives. What it came down to is like mortality was just that much higher.
Yeah.
So like people were still living to like 70 and stuff.
There was like a percentage,
just
like,
not as many of them.
Not as
And
many. You had to be healthy and have access to things, and beyond, like you had to be wealthy in order to live longer.
Yeah.
So most people were serfs and like serfs rather, like you weren't living that long, and like the chances of you dying in childbirth was like 50-50. So like you have as many kids because half of them are going to die. So
exactly.
you need to start immediately.
Like even my dad was 16 of 17.
Jesus merciful Christ.
Oh, she died right after the last one. You know what I mean?
I could imagine.
But that was, and I mean, you see, basically, once what they've kind of come up to is like once countries industrialize to a certain degree and infant mortality drops off.
Oh yeah.
It goes into negative birth rate. But like in any country where, people just dying of random shit is a bit higher, yeah, you usually spit out a lot more.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're biologically wired to do it,
Yeah. We have different strategies depending on the situation we're in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like sex is not just like to have a lot of kids. Like, okay, this is my joke. What solves overpopulation or what's going to solve overpopulation is basically promiscuity, homosexuality, and pornography. You know what I mean? Those things, when the whole breeding aspect jumps out of it, you know what I mean? Those sorts of things become good survival strategies as a species.
I think as technology is improving, like you're looking at Canada and the United States and stuff, we're having less and less babies. And I also think there's selfishness that's to it as well, like having one baby, and it's not like a bad thing; it's a positive self.
It's the survival strategy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I mean like not as we make this decision as people or as a person, like it's this rational strategy, but I think society in its larger society has different behaviors than people do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. On the grand scale of things, oh, that's taboo. On the smaller scale,
Yeah.
it's like, that's interesting. Let's look into it a bit further.
Yeah, and like all of that is to a degree like survival strategy,
And
but
it's fairly well known that the world's overpopulated, and it's like a situation. Like overpopulation is a thing; it's not a secret, and maybe that alone is enough to trigger that societal Jiminy Cricket going. You know what?
They were saying though, when we were kids, the world population was 3.5 billion. Today it stands at 7.8 billion. Like that's insane. In my lifetime, I'm not 100 years old. Like I shouldn't have seen such an exponential growth of human beings on the planet.
Yeah, but that's coming from two specific areas.
Yeah, I mean that right now.
Like, At this juncture, yeah. I mean, we are the second largest landmass and top. Where are we in population? What's our population like?
We're way on the bottom of the list.
We're like 26th
yeah.
or some shit like that. Like, hold on, let me look that up while y'all.
But we're also
continue.
like we don't have a lot of usable land.
Oh,
we don't have a lot of usable land, bro.
And most of it's tundra.
Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta.
I heard also that, like, I think the world will cap out at like 9 points.
Oh,
Sorry?
man, so
see, it's really interesting because I have heard different perspectives on overpopulation in that sense, because like when people originally started talking about overpopulation, this goes back to like the mid 1850s, worried about that it was going to hit, you know, 1 billion or something like that by 1900, and then like we would all starve and stuff. But there is like a major thing to do with how we organize ourselves. Like more people moves towards cities, which are more efficient. We change the way that we grow things. You know, we've been able to kind of get around those, and it's questionable whether the idea of overpopulation in that way actually is a thing. That being said, it's a strong enough myth. You know, kind of like in a sense of, you know, sexual politics being like driven by religious ideas. They're also driven by, you know, scientific ideas, like, or what might be scientific mythologies.
Yeah.
You know,
39th. Canada ranks 39th in global population, ladies and gentlemen. Second largest landmass.
That's actually a lot higher than I thought we'd be.
I thought we were like 23rd or some shit like that, so I was well off. But at the same time,
here I'm gonna look up like Russia. I want to know like all the cold places. Are we like
what are we?
Okay, Russia. I'll tell you right now. I kept the list up.
Okay.
The country or dependency. It ranks from top. I'll give you the top 10. Russia's not in the. Oh yeah, Russia is 9th. It goes China, India. I gotta shout them out because they're really messing with Lusher Bantan right now. LusherBantan.com, check that out. United States, Indonesia, Pakistan, Brazil, Nigeria, Bangladesh. I like saying that country's name. Bangladesh. I don't know. It's fun. Russia and then Mexico.
I'm surprised that the United States and Russia are both up there that high. Like.
Yeah.
What's it per square mile though?
Hold on.
That's what I'd be actually more. I mean, if
overpopulation
by land mass,
person per square mile. Okay, it's again China. No wait, hold on. It's Greenland with 0. Okay, hold on. Let me do that the other way. Okay.
It's gonna 0.00000 per square foot. Yeah.
Monaco with 26,337 people. Macao with 21,645 people
per what square mile?
Per square kilometer.
Wow, 21,000 people in a square kilometer.
Yeah, bro.
So everybody in Welland squashed into like a 10th of Welland.
Everybody in Welland at the farmers market.
In London, in England, they couldn't let everybody who lives in London can't go outside at the same time. There's
wow.
Oh wow.
see, and that's actually like, yeah, where we start looking at like overpopulation, and where you start looking at like Canada or Russia.
But someone brought
we're talking a lot of there's not a lot of us.
No.
Like in Canada, once you get outside of the cities, you can walk for weeks and never see another person, you know?
Oh, yeah. Take the Queen's Highway straight across Canada, and you just see nothing forever.
Yeah.
Go to the prairies and then tell me that there's too many people. It's the most boring, flat, humanless area that I've ever been in my
I
entire
don't know.
life.
Stunning review.
I've talked to people from the
Gold star.
I've talked to people from the prairies, and I think even with that few people, there's still too many of them now.
Oh yeah. Oh, they talk. They talk. Everybody knows everybody's business. So if you move to a tiny little town, say that only has 1,000 people,
Yeah.
within like one summer, you'll
Yep.
know all 1,000 people, or at least they'll know about you. And like, do you want that, or like being a small fish in a great big pond? I love going to the grocery store and not seeing anyone I know. It's one of my favorites.
You mean you can do that still?
Yeah.
I've liked both. I've liked both. Like I grew up in like a smaller community and then got sick of that way of thinking, moved to Toronto, really enjoyed that form of thinking, moved to this small town in Montana with, I don't know, 800 people in it for like a few, like back and forth for a few years, to the point where you kind of, everybody knows you and you don't have a fucking clue who anybody is except for like a few people, you know?
I'm just saying, get to know me for who I am, because you ain't gonna like me for anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I am who I am. If you don't like it, that's tough shit. Find a reason to like yourself and keep on pushing.
I like it.
You ain't gonna like me all the time either. There's gonna be times. There's gonna be times where I am intolerable. You're gonna have to just let that just ignore that, because you don't want to get engulfed in it, because it will then engulf you and we won't be able to do what we're doing. So
I was just thinking, getting back to sex and like in different places, like in a smaller town, like and kind of growing up in Wellandor, which is kind of small.
Smaller town, they're gonna know as soon as you do it.
It's there does tend to be, I feel like, a stronger sense of ownership,
bro,
in a relationship. So it's like in Toronto or something like that, you can kind of bang a lot of people and nobody really cares because you're never going to meet them again. Whereas in a smaller town, people kind of know who you've banged before. So it's all of a sudden you get this you get the internal drama.
The coffee shop again.
Now here's the thing, okay? If you have loving, compassionate siblings like mine, you can organize an event and think, hey, I'm gonna have one individual here that I might focus my attention on, to which that loving, caring individual might take your cell phone and say, I'm gonna check your previous call list or your recent call list and contact every female that you're talking to at the same time. And you know what? You have to be real strategic for that not to blow up in your face.
But if they're doing that, they're psycho. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Like, seriously, straight up. Like, I would never do that to anybody. You know, I would never, if I care about a significant other or whatever, I am going to respect their privacy.
Nah.
Straight up. You know what I mean? Otherwise,
You're telling me checking call lists and stuff. That sounds like there was already a breach of trust.
No,
so,
but
no, I think in his own twisted way, he thought he was like helping me out. I don't know how.
Oh, your brother doing this to you? I'm confused. Maybe I'm just confused.
No, you're not confused. You figured it out.
Your brother got your phone and went through and looked at all of your call lists.
Yeah, my recent calls, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna invite all of these.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, your brother did that?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, fuck you.
Fucking hilarious.
No, I'm telling you.
Please tell me you filmed it.
Oh no, it was honestly.
I'm a big sister, and before my brother was married to his amazing wife, who I love so much, before that, I would have totally done that to my brother. Like, if I could have set him up to be completely humiliated at any point, I totally would have done that. Like, having all the girlfriends, all his ex-girlfriends, or people that he was seeing all in the same place would have made me laugh for...
Yeah.
It didn't work, though. I don't know how I handled it, but I handled it. I had one was an ex-girlfriend who was still trying to, we were trying to work something out with, but I knew I wasn't the person she wanted me to be, or she needed me to be.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I went to one of my boys. I'm like, listen, bro, look, man to man, I need you to have a conversation, and I need you to like just be interesting and continue this conversation. I need you to distract her the fuck away
Oh,
from
you
me.
needed him to wingman her away.
I need you to talk to her because like I can't right now. Like I have too many things happening right now, and she's gonna want all of my attention. I can't give it to her. Can you talk to her, please? They're still dating to this day.
Oh,
Hey, fucking A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was a
Fucking.
better fit.
Hey,
A.
Alan. I have no problem admitting he's a better man in that right. So fucking. There's like 4 other people. I had one in the living room, one in my bedroom, one in the basement, one in the
That's
backyard.
playing danger.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's
Yeah, yeah.
Like ladders.
Yeah, yeah. And meanwhile, I had to run from. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Scarborough at all. Well, you
Yes.
are, but
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
Okay,
I lived
so
there
I have.
for 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, I had to go.
You know.
Okay, I had to go from basically the equivalent of St. Catharines to Niagara Falls, back to St. Catharines to Welland, back to St. Catharines to Thorold, back to St. Catharines, while getting and returning all of these people to where they had to go.
Oh my god.
That's a lot of gas money.
And not one piece of ass the whole fucking day.
No, those are not days that you get a piece of ass. When you got that much around, those are not the days that's
That's
gonna happen.
exhausting, is what you're telling me.
I'm telling you. So I finished the night and we're playing dominoes in the basement, and I'm just like, okay, we're taking shots. Like if you pass, you have to take a shot. If you win, you have to take a shot. Oh my gosh. It was fucking crazy. It was brutal. I remember waking up with my head in the fucking laundry room sink. That was about it. So, like, the things that we do to get it are crazy.
Oh my god.
Like, you'd think five women in the house. At one point or another, I could have slipped into the bathroom for a quickie or some shit. You know what I mean?
That's playing danger, though.
That's serious.
That is some serious. That's like I was just
That's
thinking.
risky
It's like that's where you
business.
put one in the bedroom. You tell one to get into the thing. You just prime them all up, and then sell your house. You know what I mean? Just move the fuck out because you don't even want to know what happened after that. You know what I mean? Hopefully no fatalities, but
Oh my
oh
god.
my god, that would be so horrible. You just have to change cities
man,
after
no,
that.
I'm telling you,
Just
it
move,
was
change your name.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, there's
They're all hunting you down in a group.
They've gathered other exes that you don't even remember.
Oh
oh man.
A convoy of angry women looking for you.
There are no adages about men
Oh.
scorned, okay? That's all I have to say about this. I just want to know why. Like, why does it seem like men are more interested in sex than women when women are just as interested? If not more so.
We don't need to put it out there. We can get it whenever we want.
See?
You guys have to work for it, and we can just be like,
Ooh,
that shit?
I
You
would
see that
not.
shit?
I'm not sure for. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know a single
No.
woman on the planet that it doesn't have somebody that they could call.
I could imagine if there's.
I'm saying
Yeah,
there's a lot of
No,
men,
I can, and I'm not.
bits walking around for sure.
No, and I'm not even talking about
Wow.
like because there's. I guess to a degree, like what you want. You know what I mean? Like I know lots of women who are lonely. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
you can be emotionally lonely. We're not talking about lonely. We're talking about sex.
but you know what I mean? Like in a sense, is what they want isn't that what like. No, because I think there's this perception that men just want sex. You know what I mean? In the
Some
same
do.
sort of way. You know, and to me, it's kind of like saying, you know, women can, yeah, like I think there's more to it than that. Like
When we're talking about when we're teaching our teenage daughters, that says a teenage boy, like, and I'm sure everyone's an individual, but like most of the boys that are running into your teenage daughter that's what they want. It's the thing that they want the most. And then when you get into your 20s, you're hopefully sexually empowered enough to make those decisions on your own and know how to like stop things from happening. But when you're talking about guys just wanting to have sex, like as a
Okay, is there an implication though that women at a very young age don't want to have sex also?
I think when it's shoved in your face all the time and you're poked and prodded for it from like an early
And
early
that's
age,
where I kind of
you're
put with
like, you
the
know what, I don't want this. Like, can you just like no.
like I think it is kind of a cultural thing and that sort of thing. It really comes down to it's the way the culture treats women in general. Like
Yeah.
it's I don't think there really is this I I to a degree would assume that young girls would have the same libido to a degree
Oh no, we
as
don't.
young men.
Hormonally, we don't. Like we peak like 35 to 45. That's when our libido goes through the roof, where your libidos are not
But
all
no,
of
no,
them.
but could that not be culturally also?
So,
Do you know
I
what I
think
mean? In
it's
the
actually
sense
like
that, you
science.
know,
I think it's
it
actually science.
it's that you're not allowed to have a libido until you're after 30. Do you
No,
know what I mean?
I think it has a lot to do with hormones. I think hormonally, our changing bodies, both
Mm,
sides. So you're changing bodies as a young person. We have so much going on when we're changing. You guys are having your balls drop and deeper voices. The amount of bullshit that we're going through, and
yeah,
like, and then when we're like, our engines are getting revved later on when we're like not as youthful and glowy and shiny.
but
It's
that's
science,
that,
it's hormones.
like that seems
that makes the situation a lot more confusing for me
Yeah,
personally.
it is terrible because like the horniest you're ever going to be is when you're like 9 months pregnant. Like it doesn't make any sense. Your hormones are just fucked. Like
I know
hormones.
Hormones are fucked. I
but
do
yeah,
agree.
like I'm kind of curious
Thank
with
you.
that. Like it's I think to a degree, like a young girl can have the same sort of heavy attraction with all of the same enjoyment of sex to a degree,
Oh
like
yeah.
as opposed to the idea that you are only going to have it in your 30s or whatever. Just to me, that just seems a little too
Oh no.
convenient to
I
a
know. I
patriarchy. You
I
know what I
agree
mean?
that
You're
women
used up now. Here, go have fun. You know.
are and young women are as horny as the next person for
Yeah.
sure. I think it takes more to trigger that for a girl where dudes like
Well,
I
we're
don't know,
allowed to.
pardon?
We're
They're
allowed
allowed
to.
to and it's encouraged
Yeah.
and
Or
where but I think it takes less for you to
Yeah.
I think it takes less as a boy to get worked up and it takes more work for a girl to get worked up.
Whoa, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Coming from a sensitive individual, I beg to differ.
Really?
Yeah, because like sometimes all you got to do is brush past me. You know what I mean? Like,
That's what I'm saying is that it takes less for you to get worked up.
oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
it takes a
yeah.
lot less for and not all men or not all women, not all anyone, but in my experience, that for a guy to want to have sex takes more than like a guy could brush past me and I'm like, oh my god, get the fuck away from me. But if a girl walks past you and you think she's attractive, like I don't know, you could just be ready to go. Versus like I'd actually have to hear what you're about. Like, what's your name? Like, I want to know that. You don't even need to know her name, aka every porn magazine that ever existed. You don't care what her actual hobbies are. She could be collecting butterflies and looking at unicorns, but she looks really good on that thong. And that's more important. And for, I don't know, I guess the more feminine minded people is that like I actually want to know a little bit about you before I rip off your clothes. Because I could, and honestly, you guys as men, like women are beautiful creatures and guys are, dudes. They're just dudes. Like it takes a lot more. Like there's really
We don't get a good rap. It's very true.
Clearly.
Like, we really don't. Like,
there's the really pretty guys, but it takes a lot more. Like I want to know that you're an intellectual.
and
Like
that's the
I want to know that. And like
I can totally agree with that. Like, and this is like going into my own experience to a degree, but it's like there is this pressure with men. Like, as somebody who, for the most part, was a lot more interested in somebody interesting to talk to
Yes.
than to necessarily like jump them or whatever. Um, the pressure to do that, I can honestly say, was a very confusing part till about 25 or so, when I was able to kind of get a bit of a realization that yeah, I'm just not that into it. You know what I mean? It's, but yeah, the pressure to do it, I can honestly say, was like seriously confusing. You know what I mean? Where it's like all of a sudden you're expected to, you're not a man if you're not doing these things.
They made movies about that
That's
forever.
stereotype with the stigma. That's a
Yeah.
lot of it.
They've
Yeah.
been making American Pies forever, you know, like
Mm.
American Pie, like you going into grade 9 and the first thing that, and it, like, as much as
Yeah.
American Pie is a joke, that was the boys in my high school. Like, if
Yeah.
they came back from after grade 9 summer and they didn't have sex, all the grade 10 girls knew that that guy didn't have sex yet. And it was funny that he was a virgin. And again, Catholic school were dicks, but like, it was, you guys had a lot of pressure on you to have sex in high school.
Oh
Like,
no, yeah, totally. And I mean, like, it's, I mean, yeah, it was really, it's a weird spot, you know. It's
if
and
you
I
had a
mean,
sex with a girl, you were a whore.
and it does
Yep.
and it does kind of continue. Like, you know, I've met men in their 70s, or like men my age, you know, in their 40s and stuff, that question their virility if they're not having sex. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, it's they have to continue doing that because it still is part of how they define that.
And who they are as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't have your whole sexuality be your only piece of your personality. That's
Yeah.
not healthy.
And on the
Well,
women's side, we're not that far removed from little girls should be seen and not heard.
That's
Like,
true.
when you grow up being told little girls should be seen and not heard, you don't think that's going to carry over into your teens, into your 20s, all that? And that was only like our parents' generation.
I had
one generation ago.
Grandma Jeannie told me that I had an opinion at a very young age, and I was sitting at the grown-ups table after dinner having tea, and I had an opinion about something that was happening on the Gulf War. I didn't really, I just was regurgitating information. But she said I was too pretty to have thoughts like that, and like pretty girls are meant to be seen and not heard. And
What?
like I was crushed. Like I remember my mom yelled at that woman. She wasn't really
Wow.
my grandma, but she was just one of those people who like is an auntie or a grandma.
Oh,
But like
okay.
that's my generation. Like we're the same age realm. Like that's not that far away. And I think
No.
maybe the revolt into sexuality where it is like, yeah, fucking everyone should have a dildo. Everyone should be able to have one free abortion. Everybody should be able to do whatever they want. You want to be naked? That's amazing. I went
Yeah.
completely the other way. Like do everything, experiment with yourself. When I hear about women who've never had an orgasm, I'm like, let me introduce you to the wee vibe.
Yeah. No, I had a friend of mine that just recently, and she was in her mid 30s actually, and just in the last 2 years was able to actually have her first orgasm, which was like,
upsetting.
which was really cool. Like, we were just like really
yay
happy.
her. But I wish that she was having orgasms when she was 15.
Yeah. No, and exactly. And it's, you know, sad she couldn't, but it's like when she had her first one, I was just, she was so excited. And of course, we're all super excited for her because, you know,
Like,
it's
I
like
want to send
fucking,
her a card. Congratulations, it's a girl.
Yeah, no, it was very cool, man. It's yeah,
And that's perfect. That would be worth sharing with like literally everyone.
Oh yeah, like, well, we're
sure,
a really good friend, you know what I
Jumping
mean?
down the street, clipping your heels together underneath lampposts as it's gently raining.
Well, you got the scenario down. Oh man, that is great.
Actually, it's kind of funny because with her too, I think it was kind of an imaginary situational thing that kind of is what was able to kind of stir it. you know.
Yeah, you got a
So
brain going, like I was saying.
yeah, no, and that's I think it's kind of cool, but yeah,
That's
I'm
awesome.
very happy for her because I think
Yeah.
she's
I'm happy for her. I
probably had a
hope
bunch
for her.
since
I'm
now,
thrilled.
so
Yeah,
I'm
That's
sure she's having a great time with them at this point. So hopefully,
that is
hopefully,
I hope
great.
so. That's amazing. I'm really happy for her. I think that, like, I guess too, like when you're a female, like you guys all had your weird, like we all knew that you guys had some gross stock and you did all that stuff, and like, but women, we're so still to like, even to this day, like, oh, you can't do that yourself. There is lots of women that I know that didn't actually believe that you could have like a proper like orgasm, and
well,
like
there's
that's what it was until it happens.
we never really had a language for it that we used either. You know what I
No.
mean? Like, yeah, go for it. Oh,
Body language. The first language we learned.
it's in my jacket.
Oh, I have to go
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah, but no, it's kind of funny. I think for women, it's like, do you have the same language that men have for,
Because
like,
there
literally?
is a love language, and they are different. For
No, no, I don't mean like a
well,
love
love
language. I
language, like
mean
a
like actual language,
verbal,
like,
like actual exchange,
Descriptive
or
words.
like jilling off, or you know what I mean. Like men have lots of terms for fucking wanking it, or
Oh
Jilling off. Okay, I
yeah,
get you.
you know what I mean.
get
Like
you, I get you.
there's, I don't know if there's the same, like if you actually compare,
Terminology.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
and I mean that's part of understanding like the different ways you can get off or whatever. If you don't, yeah, I don't know. I kind of, that's where I was
I
going.
think it was just. I think it's you need to figure it out, and I think that we should be teaching women at a much younger age the importance of it. We get the same release, and like
Yeah,
mentally, you feel better, you're rejuvenated, you sleep harder.
yep.
Like
No,
those
listen,
things are important. You have all
you
these
get a
women
good
wandering
sweat.
around.
It opens up your pores. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Flushes your
Very
skin.
fun. It's super.
Yeah. Sex is a healthy part of life with, like, when practiced with a partner that you actually like enjoy,
Alone.
kind of, or
Or like a
Or
bunch
multiple
Or a
partners,
bunch of
or
people.
there's so many options.
honestly, I'm pretty liberal, so for money, even like whatever, you know, like what I mean,
No, but
I knew a girl back in the day that I never rented her, but I knew a girl back in the day that was a friend of mine that
God.
was kind of a
We're the standard.
high class escort, right? And she was kind of mid 30s, right? She loved the shit out of her jobs. Like she used to tell me stories about like going to the strip club and just like when she do that also. And just looking for like the one guy that's just first time in a strip club. You know what I mean? And she would just grind the fuck out of him because she just thought it was hilarious and fun, and like she was very sex positive. You
Good.
know what I mean? Like it wasn't, she just was able to make extra money on it. You know what I mean?
Stigma off of the sex trade, and we should have been taking the stigma off the sex trade for fucking since it started.
Yeah.
I mean, more power to, like, you have women all around the world that are just having sex. So you're gonna get mad at the one that's actually decided to make a profit from it? What the fuck? Should
It's
y'all
all,
not be congratulating that bitch?
Well, I mean, you look at it, they
all
talk
white men who are just like, oh, well, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. And then they use like Jesus to tell you that that's why. Jesus
Yeah.
was friends with prostitutes. I'm sorry to let y'all know, but that's
Yeah.
one of the biggest things in the Bible, you know? And then the old white men are like, oh, and it's just another way to hold women back from doing anything because it's the one thing that we have that they can't. And like, you should take that away. And like,
like it's kind of funny. I know there's this actually, it's I guess history. The American West, a lot of those towns were actually founded by prostitutes.
yeah, I actually just read that too.
Yeah, because what you'd have towns where they'd have workers come in,
It
and
was
the workers would
fresh
work
workers.
and then fuck off.
Yeah.
But what happened is they would open up like a whorehouse or whatever, and they would be the ones that would own the bank. They would build up the whole town. They'd form union pension funds and shit like that for injured workers, and actually were the ones that created the town.
Yeah,
As opposed to just being a work
brothels during the gold rush all across the trails and everything. And that was like, it was women who did that. But shame on us. And then,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It's weird.
Let's not talk about that indignant bitch who ran 22 kilometers to make this country possible. That fucking whore. I'm joking. I'm joking. But for the longest time, everybody's like, "Oh, so you want to go get some ice cream?" That's it. That's all they ever recognized it for, making ice cream. I'm sitting here like, I tried to do 8 kilometers along that trail. It's a 90-kilometer trail. I tried to do 8. I said, "Fuck it." We're already found it.
Just yelling the whole time, "The red coats are coming! The red coats are coming!"
Yeah. That one took me a while. But yeah, it's and I mean that's I don't know how
look at Laura Secord as that bitch who ran.
I was waiting for someone to defend her prowess. I'm like, no one's gonna say anything. Come on, she's like the modern Joan of Arc. What is wrong with you? What again?
So
Oh my
so
goodness!
good.
No.
Oh man.
Yep, this has been Candid Conversations, episode 125. Let's talk about sex, ladies and gentlemen. It's been quite a show.
The red coats are coming.
The red coats are coming.
Is Laura Secord still a chocolate though?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go it's at the mall. You can go and get chocolate from Laura Secord's at the mall.
Wait.
Yes, sir.
And if you still have cable, it pops up as one of those Canadian history moments.
Yep. Yep.
That's what it is. The Canadian heritage.
Oh,
I'm gonna need these baskets back.
I want to make a couple jokes about a couple heritage moments for Canada that should probably be broadcast, but yeah, that gets dark.
Yeah.
Let's just say, it's oh god.
He's going there, ladies and gentlemen. He's going there.
Just finishing with this has been a heritage moment. It's just like we
fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh.
Now Canada's a great country, but it is a weird ass country in some ways.
Oh man,
I learned that I can't speak about how weird Canada is, or I'll get slapped with a warning on my YouTube channel.
No shit.
What?
Not surprising.
Yep.
That's how weird Canada is.
Yeah,
no, seriously.
Letting you know that I might be giving you misinformation. And I'm just like, I literally am making jokes. And there's no misinformation. This person's done something criminal. Here's the criminal fact. And it's funny because, and they're like, oh, I'm not even going to say it just so you don't get slapped with it.
Yeah. No, it is a really weird country that way. And I'm comparing it to the States where they really don't have that problem. If anything, they have the complete opposite problem.
Yeah.
But where it's just too much information. But sometimes I have to admit, sometimes with Canada, it's kind of like, yeah, we should probably talk about these things,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're not allowed to. We don't have the First Amendment here. And so even talking about certain rights and liberties can get you in trouble.
I have the Charter of Rights and Freedoms hanging up in my front foyer. You know how many police officers I have fucked with by standing right beside it after opening my front door?
Ooh, yeah.
Do you know how much they hate that shit?
A
lot. Very much so. It's like the freedoms that we have are only there if we actually use them. And there's a lot of people who are like, oh no, that offends me. I don't want to hear it. I don't like it. Your opinion is too opinionated.
It does. Canada as I don't know if it's the government or the kind of instant, because I mean, let's face it, the country still is kind of an old colony. We've only not been a colony for what? How many decades?
Yeah.
And we
15.
still kind of have that, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like there is the same sort of kind of controls on free speech as you would see within India back in the day or whatever, you know?
Shout out to India again.
And that does still kind of exist.
Well, yeah, but India also, like, the Queen, God love her soul, is why India is an independent place now, the same as us. Like, they let us go and move out and launch.
But did they? But did they? Like, that's the thing with it. Like, the amount of like cultural control that was already kind of imposed upon like the indigenous population of both countries, you know, to a degree, it's like that's that kind of insidious culture, you know, Victorian English culture and its weird backwards sexual mores is like still infects us, even though we haven't been a part of that for how long, you know?
No, that's the church. You know what I mean? Like, when they're setting up places, one of the first places they had to build was the church. And like, you know, and I'm sorry because we touched on it, but Justin Trudeau's dad,
Yeah.
he was a huge influence in all of the stuff that we're finding out now. He was the one who was okaying these churches and okaying these schools and giving, you know. So watching Justin Trudeau talk about how he's siding with this and doing the right thing here and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, you're paying for your father's sins. We're getting to watch it.
Everybody is paying for their father's sins, man. Like, and like, there's things I will diss him on, and like, I think he's actually kind of authentic enough in what he believes. I just think he's a bit of an idiot. He's a clown. You know, that's my biggest problem with him is he's just not a very effective leader.
No.
But he's pretty, you know.
Not without that beard. He needs to shave that baby back on. Like, that's not
he doesn't look as intimidating without it, but he looks too much like Castro with it.
He looks sexier with the beard.
He looks too much like Castro with
it. But yeah, it's and that's the thing. Like, you know, even you go back, like 1980s is where maybe you saw. No, in 1980s you didn't even see that sort of like. I feel like the 1990s was kind of the sexual promiscuity, you know, where it was like total like Baywatch and, you know, it was all over the place, like tits and ass all over, like big chiseled bodies with like everyone's sweaty all the time, you know.
And I think we say that because that was like our sexual awakening. Because I'm telling you, like, if you look at like my parents and my parents' generation, and even like his grandma, you know, was out there doing her thing, and we're like in the 70s. You think about what they were doing in the 70s, like, I don't know, man. You look at how fucked up our parents are and tell me that they weren't having drugs and sex whenever they wanted to. They're the ones who were going to the discotheques and doing cocaine and everybody, you know. And then like the stories we used to hear. Think about, I don't know where you lived. I lived in a townhouse complex, and like our parents were just doing whatever they wanted with whoever they wanted. And so like, and that was the teenagers from the 70s, you know. And
I lived in an apartment building.
Yeah, which is kind of funny because I mean, you know, like going back to this, it's like, you know, you go back to like, you know, expectations or like section relationships and stuff like that. People do that, but who does that? You know what I mean? Like, you know, you look at the television stereotypical relationship, let's say circa 1980 or circa going way back versus the pure reality of kind of what's going on. I mean, who's writing these stories?
I don't know. You're thinking about
why
like
do we write these stories?
Idealization of a normal family. You have the Leave It to Beavers, you know, but that's not what was happening, you know. And you think about the sexual revolutions of like the flappers in the 1920s, and you know, we all think that we're so, you know, but the pushing forward of sexuality is, I guess, what we're trying to get to the point of. Like, now you do have Too Hot to Handle, and all these beautiful 20-year-olds are trying to bang each other on national television versus Leave It to Beaver, and they're like, sometimes you're gonna want to hold a girl's hand, Beav, but you're
Well,
gonna
no,
want to not do that because that's where babies come from. Like,
well, and I remember that from like the 1980s is like the whole sex sells thing, and
1980s, that's still today.
oh no, and it still is. Like the idea is kind of there. I kind of feel like I'm not going to say that's where it started, but that's where I became kind of first aware of this, television marketing commercial idea of sex sells, and I think to a degree, like there's a point where I don't think that's totally true. Where there is a backlash from it every so often, where it's
oh,
just like
it
maybe
always,
it's,
we
you
always
know,
pull back. Like, if you look at Monroe, like after the big Marilyn Monroe and all of the escapades, and then JFK died, and all of a sudden we have 1950s housewives
yeah,
again, are
yeah.
buttoned up, and like, because it was too much. It was too much in our
Because
face.
men need control again. The world's
Yes,
out of control. We need to control something.
yeah. And but you do have little tidbits that you get to see throughout television history of, like, I Dream of Jeannie. You tell me that wasn't one of the most sexual TV shows, and but it was so, like, I'm still making you your dinner, dear, and here's your beverage. Meanwhile, he's literally keeping her in a jar for whenever he wants her.
Yeah, it's a little controlling.
So true. But he's an astronaut.
But he's a
They're
real
special.
man. He's a real man.
Yeah, no, and it is. It's kind of hilarious in that way. It's or I don't know if it's hilarious, but it's for me it is.
It's sad. It's funny and sad. Like, she's this beautiful creature that, but he does. He treats her like a beautiful creature who can also make him a sandwich. And like,
Yeah.
Thin air.
No,
yeah,
and
and then back to her jar.
uh, in the back of
And
my head,
bitch. No, I'm
I
joking.
have this one Marilyn. I was watching. It was Marilyn Monroe and Dean
Martin? No.
might have been Dean Martin.
Might have been, yeah.
It was like a comedy, and um, he was playing this kind of straight up married guy sort of thing who becomes attracted to her, but in it's an older movie, and what I found is interestingly, it's like she was given the power in this. Like
Really?
that's what I found interesting about her as a character is she's actually strangely humanized in this more than the pursuee. And it's for some reason just popped into my head as far as like an early representation of kind of like a weird sort of women's liberation through. I guess it would have been the 60s too, or
Little steps, man. We've been taking little steps for hundreds of years trying to get some of the rights that you guys have. Just some.
yeah, well, yeah. It's or at least like balancing the culture out. It's like sexual roles are kind of these weird things that I found from dating people of different like nationalities. It's like they all have fucking weird ass things about like what the role of men and women are supposed to be.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just it doesn't make any sense. You're like, how the fuck did this even happen? Who lost this bet? You know what I mean?
You pulled the short straw for sure.
Yeah, like and strangely enough, I knew an Iranian woman that's an interesting cultural role because they fucking like the women own shit as far as in the house sort of thing. Like there is roles happening there, but they're way different than how we kind of look at them here. But they still have these very defined roles of this is what men do and this is what women do sort of thing. And we do the same thing here, just very differently. We'd rather they wear less. He's like, that's the big difference, you know what I mean? It's kind of like he's kind of like, do the same thing for the most part, just way less.
But there was a time where, like, now where they're wearing, like, I swear I saw a picture of, like, I don't know if it was Israel or somewhere where they were wearing in the 50s. They were wearing like bikinis and stuff like that.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
they're wearing burqas.
That's
I
the
mean-
true thing. But did you know that there is a whole slew of lingerie for underneath of your burqa?
Slew them up
Yeah,
here, feeling
I can
sorry.
imagine.
Sorry.
It's sexy ass shit. You'll never see it except if you go onto the websites and look it up and order it. But yeah, they have some sexy ass underwear under there.
I can imagine. Like it's like they're not wearing it all the time. You know what I mean? And I'd imagine maybe it might be a little bit more like, ooh, check out that ankle. You know what I mean?
Ankle?
Once it goes up beyond the ankle, you're just fucking, you're done. You know what I mean?
It's at the ankle. It's a little ankle.
You know, a little bit of ankle. Once it gets up to the knee, you're just like, oh, I'm done. I'm done. Sorry, gotta put it back down again.
You're killing me right now. I am dying. I swear.
It's how they keep from having too many kids. Once you get this far up the leg, guys just already.
This definitely did not disappoint. I had a great time. We do have some more runnings in the mix. This Saturday we have a podcast happening. Actually, I think Saturday is a triple podcast day for me.
Big day.
It's a big day.
Yeah. Doing the Tough Talks podcast after the Terrell Effect, and then the Me and the Boys.
Nice.
So, me and the boys, what do you have planned? This, like, how are you gonna make this madness happen? Because, like, I hear what you're saying, but I'm still, it's not computing.
Okay, so you know the normal process. I do the house show, which is the actual, like, going into the game, setting up the matches, letting the matches play. Then I take that out and normally do a pre-edit. Basically, we're just going to skip the pre-edit.
Okay.
We're just going to run the matches, and we'll have us on either audio or video if we can get it to look nice.
Okay.
But at the very least, audio. And we'll just call it live while it plays to YouTube.
Okay. I'm in.
And in a perfect world, we can either use Restream to share the YouTube link or put it on one of our screens and share screen it.
Okay, because what I can do is, like, it broadcasts the link, right? Like, you get a link to the channel. So if I get that link, if you share that link to me, I'll bring my computer, and then I'll just put it up on there. And then the same way we have these 3 pages or these 3 windows, except the match will be up like this.
Yeah.
And we'll be in the bottom corner.
There you go.
Yeah, we can do it like that. The only concern I have is that there'll be a delay on the YouTube.
If you guys are here, are you here? Are you?
I'm gonna be there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, then you can just do it live from here, and you
can
can just go live.
Yeah, and if we
and
use
you'll have the little
Restream-
corner. I can set up the camera for you and directly onto the YouTube, and you
Yeah,
can
or we
restream
can-
from YouTube.
Yeah, we could do it
Super
that way.
simple. That way you don't have to set up all that stuff. Keep it simple, stupid. Sorry, that's my brain.
I was saying, like, that works too. I'm sitting here, like, trying to figure out the minimum amount that I'll have to bring, and it's probably I just bring my laptop.
And I mean, worst case scenario, we could post the link to just the YouTube and just, like, straight up do it through YouTube and just share the link that way. If we can get Restream to work, it'll look a lot nicer. But
no, we can get Restream to work. I gotta make Restream, right? I'm talking to them now. We can make Restream work, right? Okay, good. Y'all got 3 days to make sure this shit is ready. Oh man. So yeah, you also have your other channel, Mr. and Mrs. Brown.
That's us.
Yes.
Yeah, we do the news. We report funny stories and crazy things that we find in the news, and we tear them apart, have a laugh, talk some smack, sometimes pour a little tea, and or have a beer because it's called for, and we we just have some fun together.
Nothing goes better with the news than a frosty Budweiser.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and sometimes we find one-off stories. But yeah, so we do that once a week. This will be week 9, which it's been a lot of fun. We've got a lot of good feedback, and we're gonna keep going. We're trying out different backgrounds and comfortability because it's important.
We're on the set of This Happened News right now.
Ooh, right now,
Recording live.
Okay, all right. That's what's up.
recording live from your show.
I like the layout. I might have to bust the green screen on this wall right here so I can get the same effect kind of thing, but I don't know.
What's a green screen?
Well, obviously, in a blizzard.
Yeah, no, you're definitely. That's what I'm saying. I have to get a green screen. I can't afford all of that lighting and shit. Like, I'm staged on my own show here. It's bullshit. No, I'm joking. Oh, honestly, you guys have been great. I really appreciate the time you took to come out because I've learned some shit, and that's one of the main reasons I started this show. The other reason is it was suggested to me by private name, private number, so I got to shout him out. Oh shit! Look at that.
There you go.
I'll take it. So yeah. So we're just here trying to shine a little bit of light on some things. Hopefully, y'all took something out of this that is positive.
Take off those bras and free your own sexuality. And if you don't know, go get a wee vibe.
Here.
Sure.
What she said.
A wee vibe.
Oh man, I'm sure I know what it is, but hey.
They used to have this ex. She just had a pager.
Just keep calling herself all
Yeah,
day.
no, seriously. She'd like take off, go off, do something, and just I'd get a call at 2:00 in the morning, being like, "Hey, can you page me a couple times?"
Oh my gosh, I was hoping that use their toothbrush, the automatic toothbrush. I'm just like, are you gonna use that on your mouth after? Is that what? Okay.
I would assume it would be a special toothbrush.
I would hope the fuck so. Either way. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out Mr. and Mrs. Brown and the other channels connected to it. MC McRedundancy and yours truly are out. And okay, yeah, we're all out. We're gonna close down the show. We've talked about sex. Some people are probably gonna go have it now. Baby making music. I need to make an album called Baby Making Music, but I don't sing, so I'm probably just gonna produce it or some shit.
Lots of slow jam.
Slow jam.
Ooh, look at that.
Lots of.
Oh yeah. All right, y'all. Have yourselves a good one.